I've done nothing wrong, and a lot of people don't like me for that.
It's been a weird challenge, I guess.
With what happened last week in a GMC, I'm definitely going to be not pushing too hard this week.
We wanted to bring the hole back to its original design.
Told somebody I remember for sure, I said, whatever happens today, I'm tapping out and going home. And that didn't happen.
I'll probably be playing the same game. It worked out last year.
Calm and peaceful, and then when we made the turn to go over the pond, that's when all the madness started. Because I think I got those 4 in a row, and it just kind of, I guess the leader card wasn't doing that hot, and it just, our cell phone wasn't working, so we couldn't ever update scores. So the whole time I never knew I was winning. I never knew I was going to win until they actually finished, because I still didn't believe it.
Maple Hill is awesome, as everyone knows.
I love this tournament. I like being in the woods and just the atmosphere.
Maple Hill is a gorgeous place to be.
You could be having a good season, your game could be feeling good, but it's tough to consistently score out here.
The game's really competitive, the field's tight, you get punished if you make any mistakes these days. You have to be consistent every round, so it takes a mental toll on you. You kind of feel discouraged sometimes.
Playoffs are a different feel, so I'm doing well. I definitely feel the stress though.
Probably not going to win this tournament, just to be fair. I think my goal right now is to see if I can get into the Tour Championship. I need to get like 14th place to get the points to have a chance, and I need to average like 4 down. That's my whole focus.
I'm going to need a miracle. I just know I haven't gotten close, before, so I don't expect myself to get close. But a top 10 finish is something that I'm working for.
A lot of tough holes. This is probably one of the harder courses on tour.
I feel like this is one of the courses where if you're having a bad day, you could double bogey like every hole because there's so many trees, so many OBs.
The course is probably playing harder than it's ever been, and I think that's exciting, especially coming from last week where it was a little bit of easier disc golf. We're going to see just some exciting disc golf this week. Bad tree kicks, people are going to be throwing OB, and I think we have good weather for the last 3 days, so that would be exciting.
This season, I feel like there haven't been a shot where I feel like so comfortable that it's easy for me. There have been those shots in past years, but I guess this is what has made this season uncomfortable for me at one point because I haven't been like trusting my shots as much.
I'd say I'm 95% back. It was still a little nagging after I took 3 weeks off.
It's been a weird challenge, I guess, but I'm learning to trust my shots again. But now I'm just trying to remind myself that I have all the skills. Don't doubt yourself, just execute. And it has helped.
With what happened last week in a GMC, I'm definitely going to be not pushing too hard this week.
I probably put on 10 pounds to sit there doing nothing, I ain't gonna lie. So coming back, I was a little like, oh man, I need to kind of get back in this shape a little bit, honestly. And then hurt a little bit, but then I soaked it in the water, did the cold thing up there, which I hate cold. So cold dipped it for about 3 or 4 days in a row in Vermont, and it's been feeling really good since then, honestly.
There was just a potential car accident that we avoided that ended in some pretty bad whiplash. So yeah, I'm glad we avoided that, but it still felt like we were in a car accident and kind of hurts to lift my arm, but it's getting better day by day. Definitely won't be dropping out, but I'm happy to be playing this course because I get to stick to pretty safe gameplay and not push things too hard. It's been a pretty slow year because I've been hurt pretty much all year from the beginning to now, and it's just, if I was able to take a few months off, I would have done that, and I think I would have been fine, but unfortunately that wasn't a thing, so I'm happy to be playing as well as I am this year, given all the circumstances.
Last year I had a knee injury while I was playing. I threw completely standstill. So I'm looking forward to attacking this course with my full abilities. It's a longer course. There are holes that are perfect. They're like distance competition holes.
You always want to throw further. The courses are getting so long. We're on golf courses every other tournament, and you're having to throw 475 to 500 pretty often, actually. Driver most of the time.
I've got to take my pars when they come, get my birdies when they're available, because there is 200-foot holes as well, and wide open forehand shots. I should be able to attack.
I know tomorrow's forecast doesn't look good at all, so I'm thinking just anything under par tomorrow is going to be a good score.
You got to look to go 8 if you're looking for a win or a top 10, which I kind of need at this point. I'm here for a reason. I'm sitting on that bubble line, so a good finish here goes a long way.
If I try to shoot a 9 down, it could get me into trouble, or I could get frustrated that that's not happening. And there's a lot of pars out on this course now, especially for an older guy. So I'm just going to try to minimize my expectations and try to aim for a lower goal this week and see if I can try to make it into the Tour Championship.
You don't have to have all that stuff in your mind. You don't have to think about money, points, whatever it may be. But it's really easy to do that, and it sneaks in, creeps in, and it becomes the focus instead of just like really picking a link or picking a tree branch or something. Like, you just make it extremely simple and stop complicating things. When I do play good, I think that's where I start.
Beth at 69.
I just told myself, you got to will this one in there. Whatever you have, just will it in there.
This man is unbelievable. This is what athletes live for. This is the moment.
It's annoying a little bit because I feel like I've done nothing wrong, and a lot of people don't like me for that, but they can't really pick something out. They say, oh, it's a blowout. There's no point even watching. Where, you know, Ricky was only 3 strokes back. He had made up 4 strokes in the front 9. And it was scary. The score says I won by 7. He ran that putt on 18. He didn't need to. I would have won by 5. In these days in the Pro Tour, if you're up 3 with 11 holes to play, it's not even close to over. And I had to play really good to seal out that win, including that ace run that hit the cage and rolled OB. I guess if people don't like to see that type of disc golf, then I don't know. I guess it's their fault. But I'm going to keep doing the same thing I'm doing, and I probably won't change anything.
As an athlete, I just like try to focus on myself, and because this is all I can do, I can't really control the other factors out there.
It's weird. I feel like I've been on tour a long time, but also I'm still under 20, so it hasn't been that long. Obviously, there's still room to improve mentally in terms of like game planning and decision making and what shots to throw, but I think I'm almost about where I need to be. I feel like right now I know pretty much all I need to know to win tournaments and play consistent. It's just been kind of weird, some of the comments online, and I've seen it all pretty much. So it's interesting to see people's opinions on, you know, my play or, you know, how it affects the sport, stuff like that. But I'm just so happy to be where I'm at right now.
But I was constantly reminding myself that anything is possible. It's all like stuck in my head. And if I can't imagine the impossible, then it's not going to happen. So I try to like keep the doors open for myself and then sort of prove that it's actually possible. So it was kind of crazy for me.
I used to be a terrible crowd player, but I always wondered why. But it was always because the tournament people that was in the tournament were the fans. It wasn't like you had random spectators who I don't know most of them these days, but like you knew everybody in the crowd. Now I look on the sidelines and I don't see really nobody. Like I know, so that's like a freedom of, I don't know. It's like knowing that I knew everybody, my family, my competitors, you know, if you make this one, you're a legend back then, you know. Now it's like I kind of look over and I'm just, you know, because they're all fans, you know. They're not like the tournament people I've been surviving the whole time with out here on tour, seeing which one of us was going to make it, watching each other do it, you know. Now it's the real fans out there. There's nothing like it. Just enjoyment, the atmosphere. That's what makes the shot so enjoyable and rewarding and all that, just the atmosphere.
I wasn't a huge fan of hole 1 when I first saw it was going to happen.
We wanted to bring the hole back to its original design and now you literally have to go through the intended opening.
One I love. I think that's a perfect thing. You can't cheat the sides.
No matter what they do, it's a fun thing to do.
They actually made 6 a lot easier this year, cutting some of the trees. That was a great change.
7, I'm just going to plead the 5th on 7.
Our old fairway used to have a tree in the middle of it.
I think it's a similar, as good of hole as old hole 7.
400 feet down the fairway, you'd have to either get lucky, miss it left or right. You couldn't just pure that gap. So this one feels like a good shot's going to be rewarded.
7's hit or miss. You could see people hit early and take maybe a bogey, but it's going to be a hard birdie, but it's definitely doable.
There's enough birdies out here. You know, it's not a full-on distance competition, although there are holes that are like straight up distance competition holes.
The par 5 on 9 looks amazing.
Love the hole. It's got 3 hole dimensions to it, so that's a hell of a par 5. So
I think it's a much better hole than the par 4 on 9.
Hole 9, wow. That's a crazy hole.
With where the tee shots landed in all years previously, you're still going to have to lay up another time before you go over the water.
The shot across the water is a little sketchy, just with like the trees there. If you hit one, you're going OB.
You can get super aggressive, but I don't feel like doing that because you're on a downslope already, and I'm not trying to roll down that hill.
I feel like it could be even eagleable, but it depends on so many factors.
I mean, I think there are definitely players that are capable of doing it for sure. It's just like, is the risk worth it? I don't know.
They put the little bit of a wall on hole 14. That looks nice. I don't love how it's uneven, but I think it looks nice. And then 18, shorten the layup zone a little bit, so you at some point have to go across for the green. I like that.
Hole 18, it's a lot harder for FPO now. They moved the tee back and the OB in further, so I think playing for par on the hole is what I'm going to be doing.
I think at the beginning, I've got the passion to play the golf and to do all those extracurriculars, be it skins, commentary. At the end of the season, it's more important to focus on the play, so when I'm not playing and I'm doing those skins matches like I'm about to do right after this, it feels like I might be wasting a little bit of my practice time.
Putting's weird. Like, I've had a couple different putting styles this season already. Beginning of the year, I only putted with one hand. I didn't put my left hand on the disc. Recently, I have been putting my left hand on the disc. I know at Worlds, I did both for a couple rounds. It varies just depending on how I'm feeling. It's tough. Just like with the rest of the game, it's not guaranteed it's going to feel good that week. I will make some micro adjustments. Just, it's tough to explain, but I know, I guess, what I'm doing to be able to change it and then hopefully for the better. Yeah, putting sometimes it's like maybe you just didn't sleep good and your focus is off, and then you can't really envision that line that you're trying to get the putter to go on. And so that's definitely what gets difficult.
I guess they're like, why'd you say Dimebag Darrell? And I was going to yell Tom Brady, but I thought it sounded kind of cocky in my head before saying it because I didn't know where I was at or nothing. It was just hyped because I always like to say my Tom Brady spiral. So I was just like, I knew I hit it out the hand. So I wanted to yell that, but I was like, no, don't do it. So it just like instinctually came out of me for some reason.